was an agent who was really moaning and complaining that an appraisal came in short.
Yes.
So when she
Yes.
says, I got a short appraisal, meaning, and I don't remember what the situation was exactly, but the sales price is $425,000 and the appraisal comes in at $410,000. That would be a
Right.
short appraisal, meaning it's short of the value so that everything can proceed as the buyer and seller have planned. So let's talk about that. How does that happen? And in this particular case, she had two, I think,
did, yes.
prior appraisals.
Yes.
And you can't use one appraisal to determine value for the next appraisal because you
Right.
know what's 2 years ago and 3 years ago and 4
Right.
years ago. But she noticed that the square footage of the property, I believe it was smaller today than it was in the past, but I don't know if that's true. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
She had 3 appraisals, 2 older ones, and this one that was newer. So, like the home when it was originally purchased, and then one during a refi, and then this one where the buyer, it's under contract, so the buyer had an appraisal done on the property.
If I remember correctly, it was a VA loan.
Yes,
Very
correct.
sticklers about
Very
appraisal.
much.
If the property doesn't appraise, the buyer cannot be forced to buy the property. That's the language they make us
Yes.
put in the purchase and
Yes.
sale agreement. And I just looked at my notes.
Okay.
$26,000 short. Did you
Yes.
say that a few minutes?
I did
I
not
miss
say
Yeah,
that, no.
$26,000 short.
117 square foot difference.
117
That's-
square foot.
Yeah. So that's where it was off. But her concern when she brought it up was the home hasn't grown and the home hasn't shrunk. So how could 3 appraisers measure it completely different?
Yep. How?
How? I kind of already knew that every appraiser tends to appraise differently. Some will appraise like brick to brick. Some will appraise interior sheetrock to sheetrock. So some appraisers will actually give square footage count for the framing in the walls. And then some, especially aftermarket, after the home is built, because when it's originally in blueprint format, it's not after framing. And so that was her big concern, was the price was different, but how could someone miss the square footage? Over 100 square feet.
Well, what's interesting is she said, well, the price was $183.57 per square foot. And when she did the math, she took the $183.57 times 117 square feet and said that's a $21,477.69 price difference. And I am not an appraiser, but I recognize already on the surface that that is not the way you do math when
Right.
it comes to an appraisal.
Right.
And so you had a very friendly appraiser who came
Yes.
in and said that it's really not, he said there's no way that 117 square foot difference would have a 21 or even a 26,000 variation. He said that difference in square footage might result in a $7,000 or $8,000 because, for example, if $183 a square foot is the average for all the comparables that sold, and this home is a little bit smaller, then they would use a factor of probably 35 or 40%, so $50 to $60 a square foot.